I made a terrible mistake, Gregory whispers, his once confident voice now reduced to a desperate plea. Is there any chance we could? No. I interrupt, my voice gentle but firm. That door is closed. For a moment, I see a flash of the man I married 28 years ago in his eyes. Vulnerable, genuine. The courthouse's marble hallway stretches before us like the vast expanse of our shared history, now at its conclusion. I understand, he replies, and for once, I believe he does. I hope you find happiness, Bianca. You deserve it. Perhaps the first honest thing he said to me in years. As I walk away, leaving him standing alone in the courthouse corridor, I feel neither triumph nor bitterness, just a peculiar lightness. The weight of his choices hangs on his shoulders now, not mine. My heels click against the polished floor, each step carrying me further from the woman I was, closer to the woman I'm becoming. 3 months earlier, the first time I suspected something was wrong was when I noticed the discrepancies in our joint accounts. Small transfers to an account I didn't recognize, $500 here, $1,200 there. Having spent 20 years managing our family finances, these irregularities stood out like crimson flags against fresh snow. My mother always told me that a smart woman keeps one eye on her husband and both eyes on the money. Men come and go, Bianca, she'd say, kneading bread dough with flour-covered hands. But financial security is what keeps a roof over your head. She learned this lesson the hard way when my father abandoned her with 3 children and empty bank accounts. I was only 8 then, but I still remember the nights she cried when she thought we were asleep. I could have confronted Gregory immediately about the suspicious transfers. A younger Bianca would have. The passionate 26-year-old who fell in love with his charismatic smile and grand dreams. But at 54, with decades of financial expertise and a lifetime of watching Gregory's patterns, I chose a different approach. I began quietly investigating. What I discovered was worse than I imagined. Gregory had been systematically moving funds to a separate account for over a year. He had also been taking Cassandra Wells, my supposed friend, 17 years my junior, to expensive restaurants, purchasing jewelry, and looking at beachfront property. All while telling me we needed to tighten our belts for retirement. Then came the text messages I discovered when Gregory left his phone unlocked. After the graduation, I'll tell her it's over. A public setting is better. She won't make a scene in front of everyone. Cassandra's response. And she has no idea about the money? None. Bianca trusts me completely. That's her weakness. My weakness. The words stung like ice against bare skin. The restaurant. I've decided to start a new life without you. The words hang in the air of Bellevue, the upscale restaurant where we've gathered to celebrate my daughter's college graduation. Gregory, my husband of 28 years, stands with his champagne glass still raised, his announcement displacing the toast he was supposed to be making to Amelia's achievements. Time seems to freeze. The clinking of silverware ceases. Conversations halt mid-sentence. 50 pairs of eyes dart between Gregory and me, waiting for my reaction, for the tears, the shouting, the dramatic exit everyone expects from a betrayed wife. Instead, I smile. Congratulations on your honesty. In that suspended moment, I see flashes of our life together. Gregory holding my hand through 2 miscarriages before we had Amelia. His face when he first held our daughter. The weekend trip to Charleston he surprised me with for our 10th anniversary. When had he changed? Or had he always been this person, and I had been too devoted to notice? Gregory's triumphant expression falters slightly. This isn't the reaction he anticipated. He's always loved an audience, a trait inherited from his theatrical mother who believed every family disagreement deserved a captive audience. As a child, Gregory learned that conflict was best performed with witnesses who would inevitably take sides. He expected my humiliation. Instead, he's encountering my preparation. With practiced calm, I reach into my handbag and pull out a sealed cream-colored envelope. I place it gently beside his plate. What's this? He asks. Something for you to read later, I reply, keeping my voice steady. I turn to Amelia, whose face has gone pale, her graduation cap still perched on her head, her expression frozen in horror. I kiss her cheek. I am so proud of you, sweetheart. This day is still about your accomplishment. Then I stand, smooth my dress, and address our stunned guests. Please enjoy your meal. I wish you all a lovely afternoon. Outside the restaurant, with that, I walk out of the restaurant, my head held high, feeling 50 pairs of eyes following me. The heavy door swings shut behind me, cutting off the beginning of anxious murmurs. Outside, the Augustus summer heat hits me like a wall, but I welcome it. For the first time in years, I can breathe freely. Behind me, I hear the restaurant door open and slam shut, followed by Gregory's voice, no longer confident but high-pitched and frantic. Bianca, what the hell is this? What have you done? I keep walking, allowing myself a small smile. The envelope I've handed him contains the beginning of my revenge, one I've been meticulously planning for months: divorce papers, evidence of his financial deception, and most importantly, the prenuptial agreement we signed 28 years ago. What Gregory had forgotten, or perhaps never fully grasped, was that I had been a financial professional for 30 years. I understood money trails. I knew how to trace assets. And most importantly, I remembered the prenuptial agreement we had signed when I had more family money than he did. The agreement he had insisted upon, ironically, to protect his future earnings. It contained a fidelity clause that would prove to be his undoing. You served me with divorce papers today, of all days? He calls after me, waving the papers. I pause and turn to face him. I thought it aligned nicely with your plans, I reply calmly. You wanted to start your new life. I'm simply helping facilitate the transition. Gregory's face flushes red with anger. Always quick to temper, a trait he inherited from his father, who would explode over the slightest inconvenience. I'd watched Gregory struggle with this tendency throughout our marriage, sometimes winning the battle, sometimes losing spectacularly. Now, in this moment of crisis, his control is slipping completely. You had no right to. He sputters. I had every right, I interrupt, my voice steady. Just as you had every right to choose Cassandra. We all make choices, Gregory. At home, I don't return to the restaurant. Instead, I drive to our home, a spacious colonial in Augusta's historic district that we purchased 15 years ago. The house that Gregory had already promised to Cassandra according to text messages he didn't realize I had seen. I park in the driveway and calmly enter what has been our shared space for over a decade. Everything looks the same. The family photos on the walls, the antique grandfather clock that had been my father's, the worn leather couch where Gregory and I had once dreamed of our future together. Yet everything has changed. I go upstairs to the master bedroom and open the closet. Gregory's clothing is already packed in suitcases hidden in the back, ready for his planned departure tomorrow. I smile at his predictability. He has always been meticulous about clothing, but careless about the important things. When we first met, I was captivated by his attention to detail, the perfectly ironed shirts, the carefully selected ties. His father had been a tailor in Savannah, and Gregory had inherited his eye for quality fabrics and good fit. What I didn't realize then was how this meticulousness masked a fundamental carelessness about emotional commitments, a pattern I only began to recognize years into our marriage. My phone buzzes incessantly with messages from friends at the restaurant, from Amelia, even from Gregory's sister Diana, who had flown in for the graduation. I respond only to my daughter. I'm okay. This isn't your burden to carry. Enjoy your graduation day. We'll talk tonight. I love you. I have protected Amelia from the truth for months, not wanting to overshadow her final semester with family drama. She will be angry that I haven't told her, but I know she will understand eventually. Amelia has inherited my practicality along with her father's charisma, a powerful combination that has helped her graduate with honors. The confrontation. 3 hours later, I hear Gregory's car in the driveway. The front door slams open. Bianca, he shouts, his voice echoing through the house. Where are you? I'm sitting in the living room, calmly reviewing documents on my laptop. I close it as he storms in, his face flushed with anger, the envelope clutched in his hand. What is the meaning of this? He demands, waving the papers. The prenup expired years ago, he says, his voice suddenly smug. Any lawyer will tell you that. I allow myself a small smile. Actually, it didn't. Section 12 specifically states that the fidelity clause remains in effect for the duration of the marriage. Your lawyer should have explained that to you. Oh wait, You didn't consult one, did you? The color drains from his face as reality sinks in. The prenup he had insisted upon to protect his potential wealth will now cost him everything: the house, the vacation property in Savannah, his portion of our retirement accounts. His grand gesture at the restaurant has just become the most expensive announcement of his life. You can't do this to me, Gregory says, collapsing onto the couch we chose together a decade ago. We built this life together, and you chose to end it, I reply, though not in the way you planned. Gregory's phone buzzes persistently in his pocket. He glances at it, then ignores it. Cassandra, no doubt, wondering where he is and why he isn't following their carefully orchestrated plan. You've always been calculating, Bianca, but this is cold, he says, trying a different approach. What about our history? 28 years together means nothing? I study him, this man I have loved for nearly 3 decades. When had he changed? There were signs I chose to ignore. The way he'd become distant after each of his business failures, blaming everyone but himself. His father had been the same way. I learned from Diana, eternally convinced that success was just around the corner, if only the world would recognize his genius. Our history meant everything to me, I answered truthfully. That's why your betrayal hurts so deeply. The recording, his expression softens momentarily, perhaps seeing an opening. Then maybe we can fix this. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake, Gregory. This was a calculated plan spanning more than a year. You systematically moved our money, you looked at property with her, you planned to announce our separation publicly to humiliate me. His face hardens again. You're exaggerating. Am I? I pick up my phone, open the recording app, and play his own voice. After the graduation, I'll tell her it's over. A public setting is better. She won't make a scene in front of everyone. Then Cassandra's voice. And she has no idea about the money? Gregory again. None. Bianca trusts me completely. That's her weakness. The blood drains from his face. You recorded our conversations? That's illegal. Not in Georgia when one party consents, I respond, and not when it's in your own home. I didn't record your private moments with Cassandra. I'm not cruel, just the conversations about your plans to defraud me. My father, a quiet accountant who believed numbers never lied, taught me to always have evidence before making accusations. People will deny the truth until it's playing in their own voice, he'd say. It was one of the few pieces of wisdom he shared before heart disease took him when I was in college. I wish he could see me now, applying his lessons after all these years. Gregory stands, suddenly agitated. I need to make some calls. Of course, I say. Your attorney might be a good start. I'll be staying at Diana's tonight. Diana's? He sputters. My sister's house? I nod. She's quite upset with you, actually. She was the one who first spotted you and Cassandra together last Christmas. She didn't tell me immediately. She confronted you first. You promised her it was nothing, that you would end it. When she realized you hadn't, she came to me. At Diana's, Diana lives in a charming bungalow across town, close to the university where she teaches literature. When I arrive, she greets me with a fierce hug. I just heard from Amelia, she says, pulling me inside. Are you okay? I'm better than I expected, I admit, following her to the kitchen where a bottle of wine is already open. I never thought Gregory would make such a spectacle, Diana says, pouring 2 glasses. The restaurant, in front of everyone. He's lost his mind. It was meant to humiliate me, I explain, accepting the glass. A public rejection, so I couldn't fight back without looking hysterical. Diana's face darkens. My brother always did have a flair for drama, but this is beyond anything I expected from him. We settle in her sunroom, surrounded by potted plants and bookshelves. Diana has never married, preferring her independence and academic pursuits. Their parents' tumultuous marriage had affected the siblings differently. Gregory seeking validation through relationships and material success, Diana finding strength in self-sufficiency. Over the years, I have sometimes envied her freedom. What did you put in that envelope that made him so upset? She asks. I explain the contents, the divorce filing, the evidence of his financial deception, and most importantly, the prenuptial agreement that would leave him with far less than he had planned. The prenup, Diana muses. I remember when he insisted on it. Father had just given him that money for his first business, and he was so worried about protecting it. She laughs bitterly. The irony is delicious. My phone rings. Immediate. I take a deep breath before answering. Mom, she says immediately, her voice strained. I'm coming over to Aunt Diana's. Honey, you don't have to. I'm already on my way, she interrupts. Dad is telling everyone you've lost your mind, that you've been planning this for months. He's saying horrible things. Of course he is. Gregory always rewrote narratives to cast himself as the victim, just as his mother had taught him to do. As a child, he'd watched her transform every confrontation into a story where she was wronged, never responsible. Let him talk, I say. The truth will become clear soon enough. The preliminary hearing. The preliminary hearing takes place in a small courtroom on a rainy Tuesday morning. I arrive with my attorney, Philip, while Gregory comes with a lawyer he has hastily retained, a young associate from a firm that specializes in corporate law, not family matters. Gregory's poor choice of representation is yet another consequence of his rushed planning. Always cutting corners when it matters most. A trait I've watched play out in his business ventures for decades. His father's tailoring business failed for the same reason. Beautiful fabrics on the outside, cheap stitching where it didn't show. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes and no patience for dramatics, reviews the prenuptial agreement carefully. This document appears to be in order, she says, looking over her reading glasses at Gregory's attorney. Do you contest its validity? The young lawyer clears his throat. Your Honor, we believe the agreement has expired due to the length of time that has passed. The judge reads aloud. Section 18 clearly states that the duration is for the term of the marriage plus any legal proceedings resulting from its dissolution. There is no expiration date indicated. Gregory leans forward to whisper urgently to his lawyer, who looks increasingly uncomfortable. Furthermore, the judge continues, the evidence of systematic fund transfers appears to violate the financial disclosure requirements in Section 23. She shuffles through the papers, then looks up. I am ruling to maintain the freeze on joint accounts pending full financial discovery. Mr. Caldwell's personal account will remain accessible to him. The family home will remain in Mrs. Caldwell's possession during proceedings as stipulated in the prenuptial agreement's infidelity clause. Gregory's face flushes dark red. This is outrageous, he mutters, loud enough for me to hear. The judge fixes him with a stern look. Mr. Caldwell, I suggest you review the agreement you signed more carefully. This court will reconvene in 30 days for the full hearing after discovery is complete. The final hearing. The final divorce hearing falls on what would have been our 29th anniversary. A fitting end to a chapter of my life that has lasted nearly 3 decades. Gregory arrives looking haggard. I later learned that his business is struggling without my financial support and guidance. Cassandra is long gone, already dating a real estate developer from Savannah. Most of our mutual friends have distanced themselves from him after learning the full story of his deception. The judge upholds the prenuptial agreement in its entirety. Gregory leaves with his personal possessions, his struggling business, and the money in his private account, which, after paying his attorney, is barely enough to secure a small apartment. I retain our home, my retirement accounts, and 70% of our joint investments, exactly as the prenuptial agreement stipulated in cases of infidelity. The justice is poetic. The very document Gregory had insisted upon to protect himself has become his downfall. As we leave the courtroom, Gregory approaches me one last time in the corridor. I made a terrible mistake, he says quietly. Is there any chance we could? No, I interrupt, gentle but firm. That door is closed. I understand, he replies, and for once, I believe he does. I hope you find happiness, Bianca. You deserve it. It is perhaps the first honest thing he has said to me in years. 6 months later, my consultancy, Caldwell Financial Transitions, is thriving. I have moved from the small office to a larger space and hired 2 associates. I specialize in helping women secure their financial futures, particularly through major life changes. My mother would be proud. She never got to see me graduate college or build my career, but I carry her wisdom with me every day. Financial independence is the best insurance policy a woman can have, she used to say. Now I help other women understand this truth. Amelia, who has accepted a job with a marketing firm in Charleston, calls me regularly. I'm so proud of you, Mom. She tells me after I describe my growing client list. You're helping people during their worst moments. I'm just doing what I wish someone had done for me earlier, I reply. Preparing women for whatever might come, being needed for my expertise rather than my caregiving is a novel and empowering experience. You know what's ironic? Amelia says during one visit. If Dad had just been honest from the beginning, he might have kept half of everything. Sometimes people can't see beyond what they want in the moment. I reply, thinking of Gregory's father, who gambled away his tailoring business chasing quick returns, and his mother, who drove away friends and family with her theatrical accusations. Patterns repeat across generations until someone chooses differently. The woman who wants to find herself as Gregory's wife and Amelia's mother has discovered a new identity: mentor, business owner, advocate. The envelope I handed Gregory at the restaurant hadn't just been my escape plan. It had been the key to a door I never knew existed. Behind it, I found not just revenge, but reinvention. In securing my financial future, I had also reclaimed something far more valuable: myself.